Hello and welcome to TheMan Games. This is the podcast show. Is the Man
And the wife.
podcast. Today's episode is us reviewing our top 10 WWE matches of 2020.
Our top 10 matches, is it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this is based on storyline, the actual match, and just, how we were feeling when this was going on at the time. That is how we've kind of ranked these matches in order. But before we get into that, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, please subscribe to TheMan Games. Like this video if you're enjoying what you're listening to, and make sure you check out the other podcasts on the channel. So just a few matches that could have easily been in the top 10 but didn't make it. Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 36. Great match. Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles fought for the IC title on an episode of SmackDown. That was also really good. The Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, Io Shirai match at NXT TakeOver in Your House. Also another great match. Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak at Elimination Chamber. Toni Storm, Kaylee Ray and Piper Niven at NXT Blackpool 2. So yeah, there's some other great matches that happened in 2020 that could have easily been in the top 10. But our number 10 on the list is Edge and Randy Orton, the greatest match of all time at Backlash. Is at number 10. Okay, so I'll keep going.
Sorry.
I thought you were just going to add something then. That was all.
Right. Well, I was going to say something, but I was just going to say, but I don't know if it's the right thing to say.
Okay. It's a good start. We're not 2 minutes in, but...
No, but we're obviously... We're reviewing the AEW top 10 matches as well.
Yeah.
And in that top 10, we give a list, and there's quite a few matches that are on like just week to week shows.
Yep.
As well as obviously pay-per-views. A bit of a spoiler here, but all our top 10 are all on pay-per-views.
Pay-per-view on network.
On network specials.
Yeah.
But my question to you is, do you think that because WWE have, NXT UK, Raw, SmackDown, there's like lots of different things that you can choose from and watch, that we have more of a choice in terms of making decisions in terms of using only the pay-per-view ones, whereas AEW don't have that, so we have to use more. So
are you trying to say, are we a bit overfaced with there's that much WWE content that we can only concentrate on pay-per-view matches?
Yeah, maybe.
I can see why you might say that, but I think if a great match happens, you're gonna remember it. And obviously on AEW, they only do maybe 4 pay-per-views a year, whereas WWE do probably about 15 a year.
Yeah, okay, that's true. Yeah, so that's what I mean. Is like you've got they've got more pay-per-views and everything, and obviously more brands, so you're more likely to choose a pay-per-view event than AEW, who have less brands, which is the one, and less pay-per-views. So you have to sort of have better ones on the week-to-week shows. Do you think then that WWE have always weaker quality because they have so many pay-per-views?
I wouldn't say it was weaker quality. I just think their storylines are weaker, which is making their matches a bit weaker. It's like back in the Attitude Era when Raw was getting millions and millions of views. The in-ring action was nowhere near as good as it is now. The only difference is back in the Attitude Era they had great storylines and great characters, whereas that's what we're missing now.
Yeah.
In 2020, 2021.
Okay, interesting.
Some of the matches on Raw and SmackDowns in 1999, maybe only 2-3 minute matches, but it was all building the stories.
Okay, fair enough.
I think these days people just want really good, they want every match to be a really good match. They can't understand why a match can't be a good match if it gets over the storyline or angle.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Makes me think of Bray Wyatt against The Miz at TLC 2019, I think it was. Everyone was saying, well, it wasn't a 5-star match. The match wasn't meant to be a 5-star match. It was meant to put over how afraid The Miz was of Bray Wyatt. If they did a 5-star performance, then surely that is worth it being. Obviously, you want a 5-star match, but if it's a 5-star segment, then surely that's just as good as a 5-star match.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get that, because sometimes it's not about, I said, the match, but what the match achieves.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, going back to number 10.
So, at the Royal Rumble, Edge had returned. He got forced into retirement in April 2011. due to a neck injury. But Edge made his return at the Royal Rumble 2020. He eliminated Randy Orton in that, and then the next night on Raw, Orton turned on Edge. This led up to a match at WrestleMania 36, a last man standing match, which was bloody long. Edge winning that match, and then the next night on Raw, Orton said, "You were the better man at WrestleMania and at the Royal Rumble, but they were both stipulation matches. Can you beat me in a one-on-one traditional wrestling match?" Edge accepted. This is how we got this match here, which was billed as the greatest match in wrestling history.
Like the greatest match. It was just heavily built as this, wasn't it?
Very, very.
You'd think it would be number 1 then, if that's the truth, but it's number 10.
Yeah, well, to be honest, at one point I didn't even think this was going to be in the top 10, but going back and thinking of some of the spots, I think it does deserve to be on the top 10. That is why it's actually just like number 10. Like, I do think it deserves to be in the top 10, but only like just really. So
what match would you say would maybe push it out?
I really enjoyed the Toni Storm, Kayla Lee, and Piper Niven match at NXT UK. I really enjoyed that, but then it's like kind of like putting that next to that. Do you know what I mean? Okay.
Do you think that this Edge and Randy Orton match is number 10 because more of context and actual, like if you put?
I just think it because of the effort that obviously both men put in. Obviously Edge injured himself. The effort that WWE went to try and put on this
great special.
Yeah, this spectacle, I suppose. That it deserves to be at least talked about in the top 10. That is why I chose it as number 10.
Okay, you chose it. Did you hear that?
Do you think that was wrong?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Why? Go on.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I know that you're saying that like these matches were chosen because of like the storyline, how that made you feel, and the quality of the wrestling. But did you feel at the time that it was a top 10, like it was a really good match?
Well, I suppose if you put it towards what other companies are doing, then they're trying as hard as the other better companies are doing, I'd say.
I just feel like you're like, well, I had to put it in here because it says it's going to be a great match, so I know I need to put it in there. But I'll just chuck it at number 10 because I don't feel like that.
If it hadn't been billed as the greatest match of all time, I think it'd still be at least number 10 just because who's in the match.
Okay, all right then.
And it kind of goes back to what I said before about it might not be a 5-star match, but it's a 5-star segment.
Okay, fair enough.
In my opinion. The idea was to make it the greatest match ever, and they did try to do that. So going into the match, just some spots. We're not going to like pinpoint detail here, but just some of the things that happened in the match. Randy Orton went to hit the Three Amigos on Edge, a move that Eddie Guerrero made famous, but after 2, Edge reversed it and hit 3 of his own. So also in this match, just like what we just mentioned, there's a lot of Edge using Christian's move and the Rock's rock bottom. Orton uses the Olympic Slam by Kurt Angle, pedigree by Triple H.
Bit like the FTR and Young Bucks match where they sort of.
Yeah, but they did like this match was obviously before that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that's what I was thinking of.
And also when they were building this match, obviously Charles Robinson, the referee, was in like old school referee attire. They had the microphone hang down from the ceiling, drop down and announce it and stuff. So I do think they did try to make this something a bit more special.
Yeah, give it that classic feel.
So Edge hits 2 spears onto Orton, he kicks out. Randy Orton punts Edge in the skull for the win. This match went 44 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yep, it did.
So have you anything to add on that?
It was very long. And like, if you just think about it was very long. I didn't particularly enjoy it. Like,
that's a great thing to say on like a top 10 video.
Well, I don't mean like.
Or matches, sorry.
I mean, it's my least favourite of the top 10, so I guess
that's why it's 10, isn't it?
So if it's at number 10, I can see how okay. Well, I just felt like it was very long, although there were some really good spots in it. Yeah, and as you said, the build up and everything was very, very good. I don't fit personally for me. I don't feel like the match paid off as much as I thought it was going to.
Okay, is that the match that you think it should have been at number 10 other than this?
Yeah, I would have gone NXT in your house.
So thank you for listening to this podcast. Also, make sure you check out the other podcasts out on the channel. We have the review of Survivor Series 2002, Survivor Series 2020. There is TLC 2016, the most recent pay-per-view in WWE, TLC 2020. Also, we have Brooklyn 4. We were there. We've reviewed that on the channel. Also, we have reviewed War Games in Your House. Also, we have reviewed movies like Santa's Little Helper and Ready to Rumble. So make sure you go out and check out the other podcasts out on the channel.
Right, so I would say from NXT in Your House, Mia Yim, Shotzi Blackheart, and Tegan Nox.
You said that was match 10?
Just love to give my opinion on this podcast.
Okay. So match number 9 is a match from NXT UK. So this was at TakeOver Blackpool 2. It was a tag team ladder match. So it was Gallus against the grizzled young veterans Mark Andrews with Flash Morgan Webster and Imperium. In this match, there was some really great double teams from all teams. Really, obviously it was a ladder match, but all teams in this match worked as a team, doing double team moves on each other. I think that really made this match stand out. Just because normally in ladder matches they just try and do all the big spots, but they did actually still do tag team wrestling in this match, which is something I really did like.
His is by Flash Morgan Webster, and I've put to the ball one in Imperium because I can't remember his name.
Fabian Eichner.
Is that the one? Sorry.
Yeah. James Drake hits a 450 like a springboard splash off a ladder. The ladder was bounced on the ropes and on a ladder. That was a great spot in the match as well. Both Mark and Webster, they hit a swanton bomb off the top of the ladder, putting Wolfgang through a table. Great spot.
Flash Morgan Webster also does a tornado DDT to Wolfgang.
Yeah, it was a good spot also.
Gallus goes to a suplex. Gallus goes to suplex Mark over the top rope, but both men reverse into a stunner. That was a really good spot as well. And the selling as well by Gallus, and that was great.
Mark Andrews smashes a kendo stick into James Drake as he's going to reach for the titles. That looks like it absolutely sucked as well. Like he properly just breaks his kendo stick against James Drake's body.
Wolfgang spears Fabian Eichner.
Yeah, Fabian Eichner.
Into a ladder in the corner. That was really brutal.
Yeah, the ladder just breaks into shreds. And then Gallus retained their titles. This match was exactly 25 minutes. So I think this will be a match that not a lot of people will know about, unfortunately. But I do think it was a top 10 match. This did happen quite early on in the year. This was, I think, January 12th. I think this happened. So if you've not seen it, make sure you go out of your way to check this match out. It was, like I just said, from Blackpool TakeOver 2. So make sure you check that out. Match number 8 is Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. A Hell in a Cell I Quit match, the first Hell in a Cell I Quit match that I know of. So the story going into this was obviously their match at Clash of Champions. Jey never, quit. His brother threw in the towel. That's how Roman retained the championship. So in this match, that's how it became an I Quit match, because Roman wanted him to say the words I quit.
My first sort of note is Roman hits 2 spears. And then Jey runs and dives through the rope, slamming Roman into the cell. Yeah,
Jey Uso gets a leather strap from under the ring. He beats down Roman with it, but then eventually Roman gets hold of it and beats Jey down with it himself.
And that looks really brutal, doesn't it?
Yeah. Roman locks in the guillotine. The ref tries to stop the match because obviously Jey won't quit. Roman ends up throwing the referee out as he wants. He wants Jey to say I quit. All the other officials come in the ring, to stop Roman.
Roman picks up the steel steps, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's going to smash Jey's face in with it.
And then Jimmy runs in and saves his brother, and then starts pleading with Roman.
Yeah, and Roman starts crying and saying basically he doesn't know why he's doing what he's doing. He's pretending to show remorse, and then he grabs Jimmy Uso, gets him in the guillotine. Obviously, Jey comes round and sees it, and that's when Jey says I quit to make Roman stop what he's doing to his brother. This match went 29 minutes and 20 seconds. Obviously, I know we didn't go through quite a lot of moments in the match, but I think this match was more revolving around the storyline and the acting of the wrestlers. I do think this is Roman Reigns doing the best work of his career. Also, along with Jey Uso. Who would have thought Jey Uso would be having top caliber WWE Championship matches in 2020.
Singles as well.
Singles matches. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the way that they've like whoever wrote this story just did it perfectly, and then obviously the way that Roman and Jay delivered it as well was fantastic. Some really good storytelling. So yeah.
Yeah. So match number 7 is Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns at Clash of Champions. So this is the first match that they had. So the way this match came around was on an episode of SmackDown. It was meant to be a fatal 4-way match to determine the number 1 contender. It was Big E, Riddle, Corbin, and Sheamus. So the winner was going to get this championship match at Clash of Champions. However, Sheamus had attacked Big E backstage, taken out of the match, and that is how Roman Reigns got his cousin Jey Uso replaced into this match. Obviously, storyline reason, I think, obviously Roman didn't think Jey would obviously want to take the title from him, going into this match. But Jey really gets to show like what he's made of in this match.
Yeah, I put here like it starts off with Roman with a huge slap across Jey's face. And then Jey gets a Samoan drop. And then Jey gets a lot of offense, really, in the middle of this match. I know, obviously, at the beginning and at the end he doesn't. But, just how much he does get in the middle and what he shows, just makes him look really, really good.
Oh, he gets to show that, he could be a main eventer, definitely. But Roman Reigns, does give him a real good beat down in the ring. But at one point he goes for a spear and Jey hits a super kick, then a frog splash. I think, wow, Jey Uso might win this, but then Roman hits 2 spears on him and beats him down with strikes to the back of the head. He's saying to Jey, acknowledge me as your tribal chief and the head of the table, but he won't. And obviously, eventually Jimmy Uso comes in and throws in the towel to stop Roman.
Yeah, I think obviously this builds up to the next storyline, which is the match we just talked about, number 8. So yeah, I just think a great match, and then a great way that they've set up for the next match as well. So really good. Yeah,
I did choose this over the Hell in a Cell match just because obviously at the time, at one point I thought like hell Jey Uso could actually win this, and this obviously with a rematch, with this the rematch, with it being like the same men in a rematch, I obviously didn't think as much that Jey could win the match. In the Hell in a Cell, but same at the Hell in a Cell match. There's great acting, great storyline, great work from everyone involved, really. So that match went 22 minutes and 55 seconds. Match 6 is AJ Styles versus The Undertaker in a boneyard match at WrestleMania 36. This was the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. So the match starts with AJ sitting up in a coffin laughing. And then The Undertaker shows up on his motorbike. So this is actually The Undertaker's last match, apparently. Oh, I've just done air quotes for no reason.
But it's supposed to be Undertaker's last match. Before he retires. Whether that happens or not is, we'll soon see, won't we?
Yeah, you do see a little bit of, all the Undertaker gimmicks in this match. That's something I did kind of like about it. You saw a bit of like the dead man, the badass Undertaker, the guy that can do like magic, I suppose.
Supernatural powers.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like early on in the match, Taker slams AJ into the hearse and like tears open his wrist or his arm.
His forearm, isn't it? Yeah. That looks awful. And then seeing the skin. Ugh.
Yeah. The Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson, turn up in this match.
There was loads of hooded figures.
Yeah, loads of that.
I'm not.
Wasn't a lower part of the match.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad match or anything, but what I'm saying is that this for me is like a low part of the match because it just didn't make sense. I can understand why Gallows and Anderson were there because obviously they're the club with AJ, but can anyone tell me what the point of these figures? That's what I mean. But I guess in one respect, it does make Taker look really good because obviously he beats them all up, and they never get the better of him. So maybe it's just to make Taker look strong. I don't know.
Once he's beating down the hooded figures, the Good Brothers start attacking the Undertaker from behind, and AJ joins them and continues the beating. AJ hits Taker with a shovel, knocking him into the grave. So then he goes to the
gets on a tractor.
But then the Undertaker appears from behind AJ. They end up chasing on top of a barn. He choke slams AJ off the barn, and then Taker says to AJ that they're good, basically, and then obviously turns around and chucks him in the grave and buries AJ Styles, and Undertaker rides off, not into the sunset, but into the night. Yeah.
And his little logo lights up on the barn, doesn't it?
Yeah, that match went 24 minutes. So match number 5 is another match from the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. It is a Hell in a Cell match. It is Sasha Banks versus Bayley. So at the Payback pay-per-view, Bayley and Sasha Banks had lost their women's tag team championships. They were unsuccessful to regain them on an episode of SmackDown. Following that match, Bayley turned on Sasha Banks, obviously turning Sasha face in the process. So that is how this match came about.
This is a really good match. I think the women sort of really portray what they could do, and sort of like their rivalry, I think, looked really good.
Yeah, I do think this year that WWE really struggled with winning women's matches. I think apart from Sasha Banks and Bayley have been the best consistent women on the main roster, definitely.
Yeah.
In the past years, when I've just gone through my top 10 matches, just obviously for fun. Some years, like the women's matches have been 6 and 7 of the matches out of 10, and this year, obviously, this is just this one women's match.
So going into the match, there's a sunset flip by Bayley onto the chair that was wedged into the turnbuckle. That looked really good.
Bayley hits Sasha with strikes with a kendo stick as well. Bayley tapes 2 kendo sticks on the outside. I don't even think they actually ever do anything with this spot there.
I don't think they did. I got that Sasha gets sprays Bayley with a fire extinguisher as well.
Yeah. Because Bayley's trying to strap these kendo sticks together, and she asks the referee for his help at one point as well. And it's just a bit, and then they never do anything. Obviously that doesn't take anything away from the match, but it was just a bit like, what are they meant to do? Something there, or
yeah. So Bayley gets a ladder out and she makes a bridge with it over like 2 chairs, and she lays Sasha on it and she sprays it with like some spray paint. What did she spray on? It's like a cross or something. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, it smacks the spot. Yeah.
And Bayley goes to an elbow drop, but Sasha rolls out of the way.
Yeah, well, she does the elbow drop with like a chair. She's got like a chair.
Yeah.
Like a chair elbow drop. But yeah, Sasha moves out of the way. Just before that, though, Sasha had gone to hit Bayley with a frog splash. But obviously Bayley had lifted the chair, reversing the move. Sasha, though, eventually she wraps the chair around the neck of Bayley, locks in the bank statement, and Bayley has no choice but to tap. That is Sasha Banks, your new SmackDown Women's Champion. This match went 26 minutes and 35 seconds. Match number 4. This is another match from the Clash of Champions pay-per-view. It is AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn versus Jeff Hardy in a ladder match. So in May 2020, Sami Zayn was stripped of his Intercontinental Championship after not competing due to the pandemic. A tournament was determined to determine a new Intercontinental Champion, which is what AJ Styles won. Later, Jeff Hardy would then defeat Styles for the championship. Styles attacked Hardy's leg, which led to medical personnel placing a knee brace on Hardy's injured leg. Following weeks, Styles interrupted Hardy, saying that Hardy had cheated using the knee brace as a weapon. So that is how this match ended up being a triple threat match, not obviously Jeff versus Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's 2 Intercontinental titles hung above the ring, Sami Zayn's and Jeff Hardy's.
Do you think when they stripped Sami Zayn of his title, which I think was a bit silly, but anyway, do you think their intention was to do something like this?
No.
Okay.
Just because I think they just had to do it because obviously they didn't know when he was going to come back.
Yeah.
But I think they probably thought, we'll strip him from the title and then we'll decide what we do with it later, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because on NXT UK, John Devlin got stripped of his. That is why there's a new NXT champion, a Cruiserweight champion on NXT, but John Devlin's now in NXT UK, still with his Cruiserweight championship. So I don't really understand what's going on there. I don't know if they're waiting until he can get over to America and have like a proper match with the current Cruiserweight champion on NXT. I can't pronounce his name properly, so I won't butcher it. So going into this match, there's a ladder set upside down at one point, and Jeff goes to jump onto AJ, but he moves, and that sends Jeff into like the hinges of the ladder. That's really gotta hurt. That
Jeff does a back body, sending Sami onto a ladder. AJ throws Sami into a ladder that is leaning on the ropes. That looks really brutal. Sami hits a what's it called?
Hurricane Rana?
Nope, haluva kick.
Oh, haluva kick. Sorry,
is that right? Yeah, haluva kick, sending Jeff Hardy over the barricades. Jeff climbs the ladder. Sami goes to push over, and Jeff climbs sort of like up and over to the other side of the ladder. Sami still managed to get it pushed over, and Jeff just gets absolutely destroyed. A ladder is balanced between the ring and the announcer's table, so like making like a bridge. Sami is lying on it, and Jeff just swanton bomb off a ladder and breaks Sami through. That was awful.
Yeah, it's probably like a spot of the night, and this was the opening match. So Sami gets handcuffs out of his jacket pocket here, and he this is like absolutely awful, this spot, and it's like something wrong could just easily happen. So Sami's in, he handcuffs Jeff's earlobe to the ladder, and then just watching Jeff Hardy walk around with the ladder. Just thinking about it, it's just awful. Just like he just had to trip, and he could have ripped his hair off.
It doesn't look not great. So Sami wins by handcuffing AJ to the ladder, and he himself climbs up the ladder to win the titles. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. This match went 26 minutes 35 seconds. Sami does kind of do he tricks AJ, doesn't he? Because he's got he's handcuffed to AJ, and then all of a sudden he's not. He's handcuffed to the ladder.
Yeah.
So that was a good spot. So match number 3 is another NXT UK match. It is for the NXT UK Championship. It is Walter against, I really can't pronounce the first name. Is it meant to be like Elijah Dragunov or
no? It's not Elijah. Dragunov.
Yeah, Dragunov.
Ilya
Dragunov. Ilya Dragunov. Yeah.
Ilya Dragunov. I don't think the J is particularly pronounced.
Yeah, so sorry for butchering that name. We have actually seen him wrestle live as well, and we can't even say his name properly, which is a bit shit, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, rubbish. So this match is a proper stiff match that kicks the chops. Walter throws Dragunov over his head, and it just looks like he lands on his head. This happens more than once.
Yeah.
Dragunov's chest is proper red raw. All the notes there are just how stiff.
Walter puts Dragunov into the corner. It gives him some huge chops.
His chest is just red raw.
Yeah, and then wrapped up in the rope, Walter just strikes Dragunov I can't even comprehend how that isn't super painful. It must be. I just don't know how they cope with it.
So kind of just going off topic for a second. When I was a kid, I used to watch WCW. There's a wrestler called Scott Norton. He used to wrestle Ernest the Cat Miller, and he used to chop Ernest the Cat Miller until his chest would just bleed.
Yeah.
And this obviously these guys are better workers than they were. But I remember as a kid thinking, why do you keep having this match? He just keeps on every match he busts your chest open.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of a funny, just made us think of that. So Walter power bombs him on the apron at one point as well. Hits a splash from the top rope onto him, and Walter gets him into a sleeper, and Dragunov passes out. Walter retains his championship. There's no match time for this, unfortunately, because it was on a episode of NXT UK.
So it's the only one that's not on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I just thought that as I said, actually, yeah.
So that all discussion for about 10 minutes was completely wrong.
Yeah.
NXT UK pulls it out of the bag.
Yeah, it does. I suppose, kind of because it's kind of off radar in one sense. Out of WWE content, NXT UK unfortunately is the lower part of the talking pool, I suppose. So we actually saw a great match as well between Tony Storm and Kelly Ray, and I Quit match that was as well.
Yeah.
In January as well. We were there live to saw that. That was also a really good match. I think in WWE's top 25 matches, that got 23 of the year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's good, considering we were very lucky to be able to go to see wrestling at all last year, and one of the matches we did get to see still made the top 25.
That's pretty good,
I think that's pretty good going. So match number 2, it is the 2020 Men's Royal Rumble match. So every year I do look forward to the Royal Rumble, but sometimes the Royal Rumble match isn't actually as good as it could be. But this 2020's Royal Rumble really was. For the first time ever, you had the WWE champion wrestling in the match, obviously when his title's not on the line. So the match starts off and Brock Lesnar's just pretty much
eliminates
everyone.
Yeah,
he doesn't even have the patience for Elias to walk to the ring. He runs and gets him and eliminates him. So
just really putting Brock over strong, isn't it? Like
yeah. And this happens for quite a while as well. It's not just 4 people and the ring filled up.
I think it's like I want to say 10 or 11.
Yeah, 10 or 11. Yeah, it's not until Keith Lee comes in that they kind of have a bit of back and forth, and then eventually Braun Strowman comes in. But as Strowman and Lee are fighting, Lesnar manages to eliminate them both at the same time. Then the next person out is Ricochet, and then Drew McIntyre comes down as well. He's the next entrant. I think he was number 13.
I thought I got McIntyre's 15.
Well, I might be wrong.
One of us is wrong.
I don't have a note for that. That was just off the top of my head, so I might be wrong. So Ricochet low blows Lesnar from behind, and then Drew claymores Lesnar over the top rope, eliminating him. Lesnar was in the Royal Rumble match for 26 minutes, and then Drew McIntyre, he just throws Ricochet over the top rope. That just looked like it really hurt as well.
Yeah. Then my next note, so like McIntyre's like number 15. My next note is then until number 21.
Oh yeah, same.
Edge surprise entrant number 21.
Yeah, imagine if this like had happened with our fans.
Yeah.
Like, what a shame that would have been. That's one thing about the Walter match and Dragunov. What a shame that they had. Well, obviously, in my opinion, the 3rd best match of the year, and it was in front of no one.
Crazy, isn't it? It's great that they can still pull those kind of matches out the bag, though, with no crowds.
It just goes to show how good they are.
Yeah.
So, at the time, this didn't happen when we rewatched it, but when this live aired, Edge ran into the ring and went to do a spear, and the people in the truck just went to the fans in the attendance. So Edge's first move back in the ring, you don't even see it because the camera cut to the audience. Yeah. But luckily here, when we rewatched it, that didn't happen that time. But Edge spares AJ, cutting him in half. This did actually injure AJ in this match. That's why he got eliminated quite quickly after this. Number 23 was Matt Riddle. This was his first time on the main roster, but he doesn't last very long. Baron Corbin eliminates him more or less straight away, really.
Rated RKO eliminates Gallows and Anderson. That was a good spot. The
last entrance is Seth Rollins. He comes down with his disciples, AOP and Murphy. Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe, they go under the bottom rope and they brawl outside for a little bit. And then eventually the final 4, it is Drew, Edge, Randy Orton and Roman Reigns.
Like Edge and Orton sort of team up for a little bit, don't they?
Yeah, then because obviously they used to be rated RKO back in the day.
Yeah. And then you think that Orton's going to eliminate Edge. He's like, oh no, mate, I won't know. And then Edge ends up eliminating Orton. That was really good. And also that sets up for anything else that we talked about previously. Yeah, also at one point,
just before Orton got eliminated, Edge and Orton hit a double RKO on Drew McIntyre. That was a good spot in the match as well. This elimination here is something I rate. When Roman Reigns eliminated Edge, obviously at the time, I was, I kind of wanted the last 2 people to be Drew and Edge, just because they were probably like the 2 people wanted to see last. And loads of years, Roman's the last person in the ring, and everyone's just, well, back then they were so worried that they didn't want to see Roman in the main event of Mania again. Yeah. But the way Edge got eliminated in this Royal Rumble, it was just so like real, like the way someone could really get eliminated in real life.
Yeah.
If this was real, not just like a spot, because you can see when Edge is falling off the apron, you can see how he's trying to like cling on.
Yeah.
I thought it was real good work from both Roman Reigns and Edge. But then eventually Claymore in the ring and Drew eliminates Roman Reigns. Drew wins this Royal Rumble match. This match went 1 hour and 50 seconds.
I feel like McIntyre winning was a massive shock to everybody.
Oh yeah, like it's 1 year when I went into it. Some years you can kind of tell who you think is going to win it, but that 2020 I had no idea.
Yeah. So going into our number 1 match of the year, and this is something that we actually both agree on, which is unusual. It is a 5-5 Funhouse match. The 5-5 Funhouse match between Bray Wyatt and John Cena at WrestleMania. So, although I think this may be a bit controversial for some people, because some people didn't really see it as a match, and obviously with it being the kind of match it was, but I just think creatively and storyline, I think it was fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like this really does go back to what, like I said at the beginning of the show, about you don't have to be a 5-star match, it needs to be a 5-star segment, because obviously this wasn't really a match.
Yeah.
But still, this find a better segment of wrestling this year. So Cena makes his way to the ring, but he gets interrupted from the Fiend, saying we're gonna have a real look at who you are, John Cena. Then Cena is in the Firefly Funhouse. Cena goes through the door, and it says, "Abandon all hope, ye who exit here." And then the Devil, Vince, the puppet, appears, asking Cena if he has ruthless aggression. Then it shows clips of Cena making his debut on SmackDown, and then next thing, Bray Wyatt is in the ring, and Cena is on the ramp in his own old gear. The SmackDown Fist is there as the entranceway as well. Cena says he has ruthless aggression, but keeps missing Bray Wyatt every time he goes to strike him.
And it sort of switches then, doesn't it, to like an 80s style sort of wrestling. Like it's very, very old school, isn't it?
Yeah, you missed a spot there that I thought you would have picked up on.
Oh.
So when Cena's trying to hit Bray and he misses, Bray says to him, "You can look, but you can't touch."
Oh, yes. Sorry, I do remember
you
that
would
now.
have picked up on.
I'll write that down.
Yeah. There is Mercy the Buzzard and Devil Vince McMahon on commentary for this match as well. But yeah, going back to what you were saying, this is now, it goes into like the Saturday night main event wrestling. It's Fitness Bray with John Cena. So I think it's this meant to like portraying that John Cena's like, like Hulk Hogan back in the day. He was like the next Hulk Hogan in some ways.
Yeah.
And then Bray throws Cena, and now he's in the Doctor of Thuganom. It's John Cena. Now he's in the ring with Bray, but he can only rhyme. He can't speak properly. He can only talk and rhyme. That is.
Cena's rhyming, isn't he? So then he busts out with one of his like rhyming raps that he used to obviously in the Thuganomics time.
Yeah, he says to Bray that he's blown his chances, and then Bray says that people like John Cena, they have unlimited chances, which is obviously, like...
Quite a true statement, really.
Yeah, and then Bray knocks Cena out with a chain, then it's the Wyatt family Bray on screen.
There's all these flashbacks, isn't it? And
yeah,
like flashing back to when Cena had the opportunity to hit Bray with a chair at WrestleMania 30.
Yeah.
And now Cena's been given the opportunity to do it again now.
Yeah, so it's kind of like wanting like Cena to embrace the hate, kind of.
Yeah.
So he swings for Dre. He swings the chair at Bray, but then Bray vanishes, and now he's playing Eric Bischoff in the ring.
And Cena starts becoming someone from the NWO, doesn't he?
Devil Vince McMahon says this is good S-word. So this is Cena playing off the fact that he never turned heel when, people obviously really wanted him to.
Yeah.
So Cena beats down Bray, but it's not Bray, it's Huskus the Pig Boy, the puppet. He turns around, and then it's the Fiend, it's a Sister Abigail, the Mandible Claw, obviously Bray Wyatt. The Fiend wins this match. This match went 13 minutes.
I think you need to sort of put out that Bray, so the Fiend's attacking him, but Bray does a recount. So
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. And then Cena disappears at the end of the match.
Sorry. Yeah. No, it's fine.
So yeah, really, I thought, as you said, not so much more of a segment than it is a match, but I just think what they did and the creativity and everything was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'd like to see, obviously, if the Fiend comes back, him and Randy Orton have this match at WrestleMania.
This is the kind of match I was expecting at
TLC.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were, but we got some obviously that no one expected.
Yeah.
Obviously, people have their own opinion on that. So yeah, anything else to add on this podcast? Sure.
No, I'd be interested to see what, like, moving forward in 2021, like, if we start getting fans back, and if they keep doing sort of like those cinematic matches or not. I think it'd be very hard to do something like that with the fans being present.
Yeah, I would hate to be at a live show
and they have to sit and watch a screen.
Yeah, it's bad enough when you go to an episode of Raw and a third of the show is adverts on the big screen.
Yeah.
But today I listened to a podcast from Tony Schiavone and Conrad Thompson, and this was in May. And Conrad Thompson said on that he doesn't think we'll get fans back in the arenas till the fall of 2021. Obviously that was his opinion in May, and now we're in January 2021, and like
sort of unique. Well,
it's still not looking good. So his prediction,
it's probably right.
Could be around about right. Yeah, I just remember thinking, he could be right then, and that was months ago. Yeah. So that is it from this week's episode of The Man
and the Wife
podcast. If you did enjoy it, please hit that like button, subscribe to TheMan Games, and check us out next week because we will be reviewing the Royal Rumble 2016. We were there in the crowd. It was the debut of AJ Styles, so make sure you check out that podcast next week on the show. Thank you for listening to the show today.